Let's take a look through the morning papers then. A couple of stories really dominate. It's the First Minister and the mask issue, and also the situation in Ukraine. The front page of the Daily Mail, Sturgeon sorry for breaking own COVID law, it says, and then it's got in brackets the word again. It says Nicola Sturgeon's apologised after she was spoken to by police for breaking her own face mask law, but will escape without a fine.
That's the front page of the Daily Mail. I'm just looking across the desk here. The front page of the Daily Express is virtually identical. Sorry, Sturgeon let off by cops after mask breach. It says Nicola Sturgeon last night issued a humiliating apology after being spoken to by police over her maskless visit to a barber shop. The Daily Telegraph, police have to remind Sturgeon of mask rules is their main headline. Officers spoke to the First Minister but said they did not think that any further action was required given the circumstances of this incident, which happened at a barber shop on Saturday. The First Minister continued to argue that she had only been without a mask in the shop for a few seconds, but she also apologised. She insisted the police had not treated her differently to any other citizen, and the matter was said to be closed after she explained that her breaking the law was inadvertent. Have a quick rattle through the front pages of the papers. Scottish Daily Mail, a lot of them actually picking up an interview that we did on the programme yesterday. Scottish Daily Mail, Sturgeon branded liar over ferry deal. This is an interview with the former owner of Ferguson shipyard, Jim McCall. Nicola Sturgeon lied about saving hundreds of jobs at the shipyard by giving it a lucrative ferry contract, the former owner has claimed. The First Minister said Ferguson Marine on the Clyde would have closed if SNP ministers had not made a deal in 2015 for it to build 2 new ferries. But the business and Jim McCall yesterday insisted on this programme that a rattled Miss Sturgeon had not told the truth about the shipyard's prospects.
Yeah, the Daily Express again has gone with this. First Minister lied, says shipyard tycoon. They also quote a spokesman for Nicola Sturgeon saying Mr McCall's comments in the BBC interview are at odds with the facts, and those 400 jobs would not currently exist if the Scottish Government had not taken the action they did to save the yard. They say that is a fact. That stories on the front page of the Telegraph as well. Sturgeon accused of a lie by former shipyard owner McCall.
Let's have a look at the front pages. Let's start with the Daily Telegraph. It says English call off holidays if quarantine is enforced as their main headline. It says English holidaymakers have already started inquiring about a full refund for their Scottish staycations if Nicola Sturgeon forces them to enter quarantine. Tourist chiefs warned as she refused to backtrack. They're quoting figures from Mark Crothall, who's the Scottish Tourism Alliance chief executive, who's warned that about 70% of the visitors come from the rest of the UK, and any restrictions on domestic travel will have a significantly negative impact. The Daily Express has gone with that headline too. Tourists say they'll snub Scotland.
Yeah, that stories on the front page of the Daily Mail. Sturgeon border backlash is the headline. It says the First Minister faced a backlash after again insisting she'd be prepared to introduce the measure to protect the Scottish population, with tourism bosses warning of a big impact on an industry hit hard by the coronavirus crisis. Let's take you through the morning papers, many of them focusing on the announcement that we're going to get from John Swinney tomorrow about the exam situation. We'll have more on that in the next 15 minutes with our education correspondent. The Scotsman's headline, Swinney set for rethink as fury over exams grows. It says Mr Swinney's to announce a rethink of the Scottish Government's policy on this year's exam results after coming under pressure from opposition parties. He'll make a statement to the Scottish Parliament tomorrow after a week of controversy over the decision to change the grades of more than a quarter of all pupils in this year's results.
Yeah, the Herald's gone with a very, very similar headline. Swinney set to rethink exam results as pressure to quit grows. Mr Swinney, who is of course also the Deputy First Minister, said, I have heard the anger of students who feel their hard work has been taken away from them, and I am determined to address it. These are unprecedented times, and as we have said throughout this pandemic, we will not get everything right the first time.
Yeah, the P&J, Swinney bows to anger over exam downgrade chaos. They describe the Education Secretary as being embattled. They say Mr Swinney faces growing calls to quit over the weekend in response to the fiasco, which has resulted in many pupils missing out on the results they expected after being downgraded by the SQA. The Daily Record's headline, SQA exam scandal U-turn. It said that the Under Fire Education Secretary said he had heard the anger of students after protests sparked by pupils in poorer areas being worse hit by downgrades than youngsters in more affluent catchment area.
Scottish Daily Mail has gone for this headline: Swinney set for U-turn over Scots exams farce. Mr Swinney, it says, is already battling to save his job as opposition parties prepared for a vote of no confidence. Inside, it has spoken to officials working for the Children and Young People's Commissioner in Scotland. They have written to the exams quango, says the Scottish Daily Mail, and to the Scottish Government to raise concerns at how the issue has been handled.
The Express and the Telegraph both using the language of U-turns. The Express's headline: SNP to U-turn on exam results scandal. John Swinney saying he'll address anger over the blunders. And again, the Telegraph: Swinney ready for a U-turn after exams fiasco. It makes the point that Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister, and Mr Swinney spent much of last week defending the system. The paper says that Scottish Labour confirmed yesterday it still planned to push ahead with a no-confidence vote in Mr Swinney. His climb down over exams will be his second major U-turn this summer, after he also ordered schools to return full-time from this week following a backlash from parents.
The Times this morning goes for humiliated Swinney in bid to quell exams row. It says legal experts working with young people and their families have warned that the approach to awarding results could have contravened an international treaty on children's rights. Dr Tracy Kirk, who's a law lecturer and children's rights academic at Glasgow Caledonian University, said, "I'm aware that there are some people looking to see if they can take legal action." And also the paper goes on to say, in a sign of backbench concern, Alex Neil, a former minister who served on Nicola Sturgeon's cabinet up until 2016, described the decision to downgrade results for schools in poor areas as unforgivable.